everybody. Welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Nicole Grinnell. Nicole, it's great to connect with you. You are the CEO of Bosun Solutions. We're going to talk a lot about one of the things I love to talk about as a business coach, which is profitability today. And your specialty is in really the fractional model of boutique full service staffing firm. Your mission is to help small businesses thrive in any economy, and we're going to dive into all of that. Before we get started, or as we get started, as a business coach, I work with people who are successful and stuck all over the globe. Mm-hmm. And I love having guests on this show because they help me get people unstuck, which is a foundation of this show. So as an owner of a business, what is something that you've recently been stuck in, and how did you get yourself unstuck?
Oh, that's a good question. So I would say it's really kind of figuring out where to spend my time. So I think as a business owner, your time can get pulled really quickly into all sorts of other things. And all of a sudden you're looking up and going, why am I making the social media posts, right? Like I'm a $300 an hour social media person at this point. So I have really been able to focus this year on where is my time spent best for the growth of the company, and have started to really tap into that. And it's been awesome to see how that has just tenfold, expanded that and really helped our business development. So trying to delegate what does not need to be done in the business owner CEO seat, and really what can I help to do to grow the company, and spending my time there.
As a business coach, I do one of my favorite keynotes that people benefit from is my time management workshop. I just did one for Vistage the other day. I do them for companies all over the country, but it is like figuring out where and how to spend your time is so critical. And I'll share this, which is a takeaway that people get when I teach it, which is looking at your calendar in 15-minute increments. Mm-hmm. Look at your calendar in 15-minute increments instead of 1 hour increments. It begins to change the game, because 15 minutes is only 1% of your day. Mm-hmm. So again, I think I love that, because the more we look at our time and how we spend it, and then study it and become masters of our calendar, it really is a game changer. All right, let's talk about you. Let's talk about hiring. You work with small businesses to thrive in any economy, and you spend a lot of time with clients on the fractional model. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So just how it even kind of came to be, my background was in small business. My parents owned a business. I grew up working in that, transitioned that to be an executive assistant. So I had this kind of unique understanding of what business owners were needing, and then the corporate and traditional employment. And what I saw was that business owners it was kind of either I have an employee or I don't have an employee. Either I can afford one or I can't afford one. And so you see business owners that were stuck doing everything because they're like, I can't afford a full-time person, and the management and the time. And so they shied away from it and were drowning. Or they finally got the budget to bring in a full-time person, and now they made that person the marketing specialist, the accountant, you're in charge of sales, and that human just doesn't exist, right? Yeah. And so what I saw was either of those options were just not working. And so what I really wanted to develop, and where it spurred from, was kind of the virtual assistant world. And that's what we started in. But really what we wanted to provide was fractional support for all back office functions. And when you really start breaking it down at every stage, whether it's a growth stage or a new stage, there become these tasks that can be delegated, but they don't necessarily warrant a part-time or full-time position. So from that first sales call, and you need that administrative and sales assistant, all the way to your final invoice, all of those roles can be done at a fractional level. And when I say fractional, I mean as little as 5 hours a week.
Yeah.
And so at that point, you're able to really build out your team and your back office.
Yeah. So I love this model, Nicole. I'm a business coach. I have 7 virtual people that work for me, and they're all best of class. I mean, they're all great, and some of them work, less hours than the other, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need to get into all the details, but I could not find one person to do everything to the level that each great person has done. And so let's talk about, from your perspective, somebody who hasn't done it this way, how do they get comfortable kind of flowing in this flow? Because to your example, you hire someone and then this person becomes the marketing person and then this, when you really kind of like zoom in on what the role and responsibility that you need to get done, sometimes that isn't 40 hours. Sometimes, when you look at everything that needs to get done, you can look and say, well, wait, this only needs 3 hours a week and this needs 2 hours, but you need to take the time to really get to the granular level on that. So can you kind of just kind of talk about that process and how you walk your clients through it?
Absolutely. So it's actually one of my favorite things to do, because business owners will come to us and they're like, I'm doing all of this and it's 100 hours a week and I've got to, delegate it and this is everything I need. And it's like, okay, well, let's break this down first. And back to our first conversation is, where do you make money? Where is your time spent that you're making money? And lots of times we hear, well, when I'm out networking, when I'm in front of clients, when I'm doing bids, whatever that looks like for your industry. Okay, so now what's keeping you from doing 8 hours a day of that? Well, I've got to do this and I've got to do this and I can't do this. And so we start breaking down those things. And then we go, okay, well, those are the things we're going to start delegating. So now let's break those down even further. You listened to accounting, you listened to administrative. What are the things now that are going to get you to 8 hours a day of revenue? Well, I'm really falling behind on my calendaring. I don't call people back. I'm not checking my emails. Great. So it sounds like we need to start with an admin. Let's start there. And let's start getting it to where we're pushing you into revenue generating tasks. This is staying on point. That's going to lead to more roles. So now we've got a great admin in. You're booked at 8 hours a day. Well, now we've got an accounting problem. I got to make sure I'm billing correctly. Great. Let's bring in a bookkeeper. She's working 5 hours a week to make sure after you complete that job, the invoice is going out. Well, now I want to expand even further. So you get the idea. So we really kind of go through like, let's first position you to be in a revenue generating space. And then let's bring in the team that needs to keep you there.
Yeah, I love that. So let's talk about this revenue generating space, because one of the things I see as a business coach is sometimes people are busy doing admin work thinking they're doing revenue producing activities. Can you talk about how you help them differentiate that?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm guilty of it too. We all can fall back into that cycle, right? So I'm certainly empathetic to it. But I think, for me, like I'll mention what I talked about is I had to really look at my calendar and go, where is it that I'm making money? And what skill sets do I bring to this company that create that revenue or those opportunities? And for me, I realized, oh, well, that's when I'm in front of a coach, a client, I'm speaking, I'm doing podcasts, when I can connect with individuals to let them know that this is an option. So my job then became, I need to be spending the majority of my time in front of opportunities. So anything that takes me away from that, whether it's checking my emails, ordering, even down to personal things, ordering groceries, whatever that looked like for me, that was taking away my time. And we won't go sidetrack on this, but there is, a lot of psychology into shifting your brain into what other next function. So if all of a sudden I'm having to shift into, I'm an accountant and I got to look through this P&L, there's a delay in that, and there's a time delay in that. And so I really had to make sure that anything that wasn't keeping me in front of a potential client, in front of an opportunity, I needed to delegate.
Yeah. Yeah. Delegating is the greatest. I think people have a hard time giving up control when it comes to delegating. What I hear a lot sometimes is, well, it's going to take me, a long time it's going to take me less time to do it than it will to explain it. It's going to take me, I don't have the time to delegate, or the people that I have, aren't the right people to delegate. And so to that, I would say, long term, it does benefit you to start delegating, right? Short-term pain, long-term gain, take the time. And then look at your org charts and make sure everybody's in the right seat, make sure you're training people up, making sure, et cetera, et cetera. So talk a little bit about, that piece and what that means to you as you're talking to your clients as they're kind of embarking in this fractional journey.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I always take it back even to just simplistic. I have a friend that really struggles with giving her kids to do chores. And she's like, oh, they're just not going to do it the way that I like it. And sometimes like the shirts aren't folded. And I'm like, right. But then they are going to learn how to do laundry. They're going to understand what that means. And then one day you'll look up and the shirt will be folded the way you want it to be done. So Yes, but do you want to do laundry forever till your child's 18 years old and you're still laying out their outfit, right? And that's really what we can get stuck into as a business owner, right? Is it's like, well, it's just not going to be done the exact. Yeah, so you can live in your fears and not your hopes. You can live in not investing in your people and still taking it on, or you can really start trusting the people you're bringing in and really start investing in them and starting to see that benefit come in. But obviously, as a coach, that's a whole other mindset thing. But I will say for what we do is we try to relieve some of that for the business owner, because what you just described is real. Delegating is hard. We're all a little bit control freaks that go into being an entrepreneur. So you've got a lot of things stacked against you. And so as part of what we do, we provide a relationship manager to help that process and help guide it and give tips and tricks about how to start delegating and making it a smooth transition.
I love it. I love it. I want to go back. I want to go back to the comment you made about your parents and growing up and them having a small business. Take me back to your, take me back to that time, whether it be in the business or conversations around the kitchen table, some of the key lessons you learned from your parents.
Yeah, so I will say what was interesting about my childhood in that is that I worked alongside my parents' employees. So when they started the business when I was about 9 or 10. And by the time I was 12, 13, I was fully like running a lab by myself up front, taking in patients, working with the phlebotomist, telling people what to do. It was kind of a weird, weird upbringing. But what I will tell you is I got to see a unique side of being with the employees all day and hearing their complaints and their needs and what they wanted from the business, and then going home and at the dinner table hearing what my parents were going through, right? So I kind of got this unique perspective of what a business owner has to deal with that the employees do not understand and do not know, and then what the employees, either through perception or reality, are needing or wanting out of this relationship. And so I think I'm very in tune and empathetic with trying to manage both sides of that.
Yeah.
And realizing employees don't always know what's going on with the business and with the owners, and owners don't always understand really what the perception by the employees are, and trying to bridge that.
Right. And you need that bridge maker, right? You need that bridge maker in every company. Typically that's a COO or, somebody of that nature, but you bring up such an important point because there is a disconnect. I remember once when in a career I was in where I went from a salesperson to a manager, all of a sudden you're like, wait, it's been a month and I haven't even looked at a deal, because you're so, you have to really work hard to stay connected to everything. So I really appreciate so much what you're saying. So to all of the business people, right, who are listening right now, as a business coach, I work with salespeople, managers, owners, C-level execs, solopreneurs, Fortune companies, etc. What would you say to the higher ups on how to connect to their people more, to really get a pulse of what is happening and going on, and most importantly, what they're thinking and feeling?
Mm-hmm. So I think everything, like I use a line a lot, like everything is just a conversation. So I think it's okay to show that human side of yourself too. And so when you have those times where you're like, because I feel like there can be trigger points when you get frustrated with your employees, is when you're dealing with something that maybe they don't know about, and not, and on a work level, on a business level, whatever, but communicating to your team, whether it's mid-level managers or all the way down to employees, and saying, hey guys, right now we're in kind of a crunch time of whatever that looks like. And so I'm going to have to focus my energy on this project or this issue or whatever that looks like. So I would love, if there are things that are fire, like raise your hand, but if there are kind of wish list things, can you take a minute to just kind of jot those down? And next month, I'm hoping I can come back to everybody and really discuss those with you. But I think what can happen is we get so in this tunnel, like I got to fight this fire, that we just abandon everyone. And they're left kind of trying to fill in the holes, and non-communication leads imagination to all sorts of things. So I think just kind of where you're able to communicate and have that time, carve out the information. And then I would say even designate somebody on your team. For me, it's my COO, Sarah, to keep a pulse on people and say, hey, listen, like I'm going to be in bigger things. I'm going to be a little bit more disconnected from the day to day. So keep a pulse on things. And when I was an executive assistant, I would do that for the individuals I supported. Hey,
Yeah.
Carlos is going through a really hard time. I really think it'd be great if you could take him out to lunch. So have somebody on your team that you trust and you can rely on to keep a pulse and kind of watch out for some of those trouble spots or areas that you need to address.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Staffing, hiring, recruiting, not easy today. Very, very difficult, very overwhelming. And so how long does it take to find great?
Yeah. So what I would tell you is that I always like to refer to this as a real estate market, right? You get buyers markets and you get sellers markets. Right now we are in a complete buyers market of recruiting. And so I think where business owners are feeling like it's impossible, it's hard, I can't find anyone. It's really just because it's shifted to a buyer's market and we're having to really actively recruit. And so what we found is that we are still able to find those great candidates, but it's taking a lot more effort. And so we've kind of actually redesigned our offerings to really take some of that legwork off of the clients at a price that they can afford, because gone are the days that you throw up an Indeed ad and you get 50 great applicants and you're really just, throwing a dart at the board and finding a great fit. You really are having to do a lot of outreach. We've obviously invested in a lot of technology to do some of that outreach, but it's really just a full-time effort. And you definitely got to be selling your company. Like I said, it's a buyer's market. So you got to tell them why this is the great fit. And that's what we really do. We're able to represent our clients well, let them know what the benefits are, why this is a great company to work for, the growth opportunities. But it's a lot of time and a lot of hunting for sure.
Yeah, it's great. All right, let's do a quick speed round. One thing that, one TED Talk or book or article that's had the biggest impact on you.
I always forget the name. Hang on. Playing to Win. It was an amazing book. Really love it. It's really great. I recommend for business owners that just are trying to figure out a strategy and a game plan or any type of business plan.
Yeah. Good. I love it. Best piece of wisdom you've ever received.
When people show you who they are, believe them.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. Last question. Finish this sentence. One thing every employer needs to do when hiring, when it comes to listening to their gut, is?
I would say listen to it. Because I've ignored it before. And when you hear that little bell or they said something that was a little weird or didn't feel on brand to your culture, it's probably not going to get any better.
Yeah. I love it. Nicole, this was great. I really appreciate your insight and all the wisdom that you brought to the table today. Think community. Nicole shared a lot of stuff. As a business coach who works with people who are successful and stuck and gets them unstuck, I love this podcast because I get to have guests like Nicole on to give you even more guidance on how to get and stay unstuck. Nicole, I just want to kind of extract a couple things that you talked about today, which were the importance of profitability, the importance of really spending time looking at what you need and understanding how the fractional model can work for you. And really also making sure that you're spending your time in the right spaces and listening to your gut. This is great stuff. I appreciate everything that you shared today. It was great. Tell everybody where they can connect with you and who your ideal clients are.
Absolutely. So you can find us at bosunsolutions.com. It's just BOSUN solutions.com. Ideal client, anybody that's looking for talent or looking to grow, or quite honestly, you just want to have a conversation of what that could look like for you. We're happy to help.
That's great. Thank community. And you can reach me at jondwoskin.com. Nicole, thanks again. This was great. Thank community. I'll leave you with this. It's really, really important to only hire great in today's world, because companies are very, overwhelmed, because we want to hire people. Make sure you're going through the process. Make sure you're starting early. If you've read my book, The Think Big Movement, which you can download for free at jondwoskin.com, I have a lot of thoughts that I talk about when it comes to recruiting. I always talk about ABR, always be recruiting. It takes a long time to find great, and it's something that you should be incorporating into your business every day of the year. Your succession planning should be looking at your org chart and saying, okay, where can I coach up, or who do I need to coach out? And it's going to take you a good 3, 6, 9 months to find great. And so be patient, but I just want to leave with this: do not settle. Like Nicole said, and I echo that, listen to your gut. The small things make a big, big difference. But it's a bigger headache to let somebody go if you hire the wrong person. And it's hard even hiring the right person. So,
Yep.
all right, Nicole, any last thoughts?
No, I think that just, I'm actually excited to get to know more about you and your community, because we love coaches over here. So I really appreciate us having on.
All right, good. Stay on for a minute. We'll catch up some more in the community. Thanks so much for your time. Have an amazing day, everybody. Thanks, Nicole.
Awesome.